In fact, after writing the CA examination, whenever I appear before audiences of this nature, there are always a set of questions for me to answer. So, in this audience also, I have been given a set of questions. I understand that there are very many questions in the mind of the people today, particularly those who are associated with business, banking, finance, economics. But some of us who have been observing the global economic movement, the fundamentals and the forces driving the global economy in the last 15, 16 years, this crisis was no surprise. All of you understand business, all of you understand finance, though the high reaches of finance about which some of the mention was made here, about derivatives and all that are not a matter of high familiarity in India. But much of us understand what generally business and finance means. See, money is generated by the people. Money is generated by people who work and earn and deliver goods and services. It's very important. So after they earn the money, they spend the money or save the money. And when they save the money, that gets into the banking system. And that is what rolls and circulates. And different definitions, concepts are introduced to say what is the money, M1, that is the actual cash and bank balances. And then what is the money which gets multiplied by people spending the money and put into circulation in the banking system, which is called M2, M3. Actually, it is money that drives the global economy. But money is generated by the people. That means people not only generate money, they save money and spend money. That means to save and to spend, they must have money. Unless the people have money to save and to spend, there can be no economy. You know, it is 10 years since the people of America had money either to spend or to save. They had borrowed their next year's income and spent this year. You know, some 9.8 crore American families have today 120 crore credit cards on which they owe $2.8 trillion. You can understand the magnitude of the pressure under which the primary trigger of the American economy is being stressed. If you look at the economy, we talked about macroeconomy, but I always believe that there is a point at which the macro and micro economies converge. For example, families save and accumulate the family savings, it becomes the national savings. Families spend, accumulate the family expenditure, it becomes the national consumption expenditure. Different people invest, accumulate all of them, it becomes national investment. So this micro and macro economics is only in the aggregation process. You dismember and disaggregate the country, it becomes micro. If you aggregate all of them, it becomes macro. This macro and micro is only for statistical purposes. By a look, how can you ascertain? For example, it is when you look at the macroeconomics, it is managing by exception. You are a businessman. You have 4 or 5 figures by which you understand your business. What is the sales? What is the collection? And you don't look at the profitability every month. You look at certain things which will ultimately result in profitability. Like that, you can't look into what each family, how much it saves, each region, how much it saves, how much the corporate save, how much the government saves. You will not look into all this. How much the nation saves. But it does not mean that the nation can save without the people saving. It is not that the nation can invest without the businessman investing. So this macro and microeconomic distinction should not be taken to a point where microeconomics is not at all important. You have to look at only macroeconomics. This is one of the things which virtually destroyed the American drive for leadership today. I will come to it a little later. All that I want to mention is that microeconomics is a very, very important part of macroeconomics. Now all of us understand there is a crisis today. As I said, some of us who have been keenly observing the US and the US driven world and what drives the US and what is happening today, for us it is no surprise except that some of them expected this to happen 2 years later. It has happened 2 years ahead. That's all the difference as I see it. And in fact, I have been writing on this subject quite long. Many of you may not be familiar with Tamil. I have been writing for the last 6-7 years as to how America has got into a position from which there is no way it can recover within the four corners of economic theories. The problem with America is not economics. The problem with America is politics and sociology. Unless you fix the American sociology and American politics, you cannot fix the American economics. No other country in the world has got into this difficulty. In fact, if you see the G20 declaration and the comments